Hi there, Laurel here. Thanks so much for joining me for another Simply card making video. Today in this video, I'm going to show you how I made these two cards using the Peony background stamp by the ton. I love the stamp. I've made a couple of other cards and videos using this stamp. So I'm going to show you two cards to make. One card took under 60 seconds, not even kidding. So here it is, the Peony Garden Cling background stamp. I love it. It's by the ton. I love it. It has solid images. It has some solid flowers as well as outline flowers. So there's a lot that you can do with this stamp. You can color it, paper piece it, watercolor, do whatever. So when this stamp originally came out, I had the idea of using it with some vellum and some glitter embossing powder and some Copic markers. I got a card in the mail not long ago from Effie, who is the owner of the ton, with a card using this background stamp with glitter, Copics, and vellum. So not only is she a brilliant designer, stamp designer, but she's an incredible crafter and card maker. I love her card. I have it up in my craft room. So I'm making something similar to what she sent me as well. So I've inked up that Peony background stamp with some Versamark, and I'm placing some 43-pound vellum on the card. I'm making sure that I get the solid peonies as well as the outline. I want both of those on my vellum. And then I am sprinkling on some Fool's Gold embossing powder by Wow. It is this gorgeous embossing powder that's got this bronze gold tint to it. I saw my friend Catherine Pooler use it on a card, and I sent her a message and I said, "What color is that? I have to have it." So I got mine off of Amazon. And I'll be sure to link that below if you're interested. But I just think this color is very unique. It's quite pretty. If you get any stray embossing powder where you don't want it, just take a dry brush like I just did and brush it away. It's like embossing powder should know you only want it where your Versamark is. So I brushed it away and moving on. The key to getting a good heat embossed image is to let your heat gun heat up for a good 15 to 20 seconds if you can. Then it's going to heat up your embossing powder so quickly. You can see how quickly it's heating up here. And you'll get a nice even heat over the entire embossed image there. I just think it's so pretty, especially on vellum. You want to be careful not to keep your heat gun in the same spot for too long on vellum. This vellum I love. It's the 43-pound vellum by Ellen. It's the Ellen Hudson. It's the thickest vellum I've ever seen, and I love it, love it, love it. So while that's cooling off, I want to show you how quickly it is to make this other card, because Versamark is not only for heat embossing, it's for making a watermark or a tone-on-tone impression. So I inked up that background stamp. I pressed my cardstock against the stamp, and look at that. You can just leave it just like this. It's so pretty, this beautiful tone-on-tone background. You can go in with some light markers if you want to add some shading, or you can leave it as is, which is what I'm going to wind up doing. But I just wanted to show you that Versamark is not just for heat embossing. So now I'm going to go in and add some color with my Copic markers, Spectrum Noir, any kind of alcohol marker here. You want to flip it over and work on the back. You want to start coloring on the back side. I went in ahead of time and colored in where those leaves are, because when you're looking at from behind, it's kind of hard to make out where the leaves are. Then I'm going to go in and add little bits of red here in some of the petals of the peony, and then I'll go in with a pink and finish off the rest of the color. Now, when you're coloring on vellum, you want to think about a couple of things. You want to use some bright colors, because vellum, it's going to mute it out. When you flip it over, the colors aren't going to be as bright, as intense when you look through it through the vellum. So you want to use some brighter colors. And you're not going to get a beautifully blended look. You can see I'm going in with it's hard to see because I put this in fast motion, but I'm using the side of my brush, and I'm trying to do long, even strokes, but it's not going to be beautifully smooth like you would if you were coloring on some regular cardstock, because that's not what vellum was meant for. But it's okay. I think it is so pretty the way it is. I love seeing some of those pen strokes through the vellum. So I was toying around with whether I wanted to do white or that pink cardstock. I decided to go with pink. Now the trick with vellum is always trying to figure out how to adhere it. If you have a sewing machine, that's definitely an option. I don't know how to sew. I'm lucky I could sew on a button, you know what I mean? So I'm going in with some multi-matte medium here, and I applied a very thin application to the vellum, and then I'm going to adhere that right down over my on my card panel there, that pink cardstock there, which is by, I think it's called Sweet Gelato by W+9. And that's a really strong matte glue, so it's going to hold that vellum in place quite nicely. But there are a couple other ways to adhere vellum. I've known people to, again, sew it on, staple it on. They use glossy accents. Just kind of figure out whatever works best for you. I'm going to leave this card sentiment free, and then when I'm ready to send this out, I will stamp a sentiment on the inside of the card. I just think it's so pretty, and I just wanted to leave it as is. So I love how this turned out. I love the beautiful background stamp with the vellum and the Copic coloring shining through. And this stamp, I just took a sentiment from the It's Cray Cray stamp set, also by the ton, and stamped it and just rounded the top corners, and that's that card. I just think they turned out beautifully. I hope you like them too. I just think that stamp set is awesome. So thank you so much for taking time and joining me today. And if you haven't already, if you see that click here to subscribe button, if you click it, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. So again, thanks for joining me, and I'll be back in a few days for another video.